Tyler Davis joins us to reveal company growth strategies for new markets and how the success of Saunders Ralston Dantzler will carry into the new year. We hope you enjoy.
In Our Expert Opinion podcast is brought to you by SVN Saunders Ralston Dantzler Real Estate, a full-service land and commercial brokerage with over $4 billion in transactions since 1996.
Chad, the way that you say Dantzler is so like down south, because I always say Dantzler with a T, and I think that it's like Dantzler.
Yeah, you can't over-enunciate in the South. No.
If you're sober, you can.
Well, that's why we don't, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta have the ability to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, your business voice.
I think I can do that. When I'm up in Thomasville, I talk differently than when I'm in, Tampa.
Absolutely. I agree.
My mama taught me how to talk both ways. Proper, I guess, so to say. And then,
proper depending in which setting,
Correct.
It could be proper in both settings.
Got my professional dress.
Yeah.
And I've got my casual dress.
Yeah. You have your Sunday clothes, and then you got your play clothes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome back to In Our Expert Opinion podcast. For those that are watching on YouTube, we have a new setup thanks to Michael, Chad, and the brokers for paying for it. But I think we're really happy with it. And I don't know the man's name. I know that his first name is Clayton.
Clayton Kitty with Against the Grain Custom Woodworks.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds
a
right.
nice half octagon here.
I know.
Right?
We also have, do we have two more? I think we have one more section here so that we can have, multiple
When we get a
guests.
bunch of people that don't get to agree and we need to put them in the octagon, we'll finish it out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like the UCF fight here.
That I feel like that used to be like our Monday morning meetings with the brokers, They didn't always see eye to eye, but I feel like they've really,
The Three Bears, as you like to call them.
the Three Bears for sure. Okay, well, welcome back. Thanks for listening in the new year. Really
There's
excited.
so many welcome backs here. Welcome back to the new year.
back.
Welcome to the newly outfitted studio. Welcome back, Tyler Davis.
I have
It's a little late to be saying Happy New Year, right?
no. Larry David said
You
the
beat me to it.
7th.
So is it the 7th?
It's the
Is that
7th.
what Larry David said in
It's the
Curve? I
7th.
couldn't remember. It's a great episode, but
Because Keith Waldron told me the other day, he said Happy New Year, and I went to say it back to him. It was the 8th,
can't
and
do
I
it.
said, I'm done. I'm not telling you that.
whatever Larry
It's over.
says, I follow.
That's right. Usually he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, no offense. But yes, welcome back to the podcast, Tyler Davis, TD.
Thank you. It's been a while. I've been a fan of this podcast over the year or two that we've been doing it. I think we have a lot of great content. This episode's probably not going to be one of them compared to experts like Bryant Peace and Michael Minton and people like that on here. So I'm going to try to do my best here.
Don't sell yourself short. Everybody likes to hear what you have to say, probably because you're one of the only people that knows what's going on. So I would say
Sometimes I'm not sure I do either.
people are
so-
captivated whenever you speak.
Well, I'll spill some beans on some
Yes.
stuff and give some updates and hopefully inform some people on some of the things going on here.
Let's get the number one update underway, and that is Alabama football.
Yeah, it's a sad couple days. For those of you that don't know, I'm a huge Alabama fan. Grew up in between Atlanta and Birmingham. Have a lot of family up there. I did my master's at Alabama, and dad and uncles grew up with season tickets going to games, so I was kind of born into it. And Coach Saban retired like 2 days ago, somewhat expectedly, somewhat unexpectedly. Kind of caught us off guard a little bit on the timing of it. I thought he had one more year in him, but so we are now at we're watching the Vatican right now to wait for smoke to come out that Alabama selected a new coach. We are, apparently a couple hours away. We've had a bunch of coaches say they're not leaving. Some rumors. You never know what to believe in these things. People tracking planes and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Tracking planes?
Oh, yeah. They get the university
Yeah,
plane
yeah.
tag and figure out where it's going.
No way.
This used to be a much bigger thing before Zoom when people had to be in person for
Yep.
interviews. But there's just so much smoke out there about what's going on. And so apparently, though, I saw some reports we might know something in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So I've got my phone at the ready here, just waiting on it to light up like the 4th of July. So if that's when my phone's out, everybody who's a fan of a sports team will understand this is nothing. I'm not diminishing the importance of this podcast. It's just, got to know what's going on.
Priorities, you know what I
Correct.
mean? And two things can happen at the same time.
Correct.
So,
I know there's a lot of Florida fans out there hoping we hire Billy Napier, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
That'd be the best thing for Florida.
It will be. Worst thing for the Tide, the best thing for the Gators. No, I like Billy. I hope he figures it out. He's a good guy. He called me out actually at a Gator booster board event 2 years ago in Polk County in Lakeland at the Polk County Theater. I got to tell this story. It's funny.
theater. I like how he said that.
Theater.
Yeah, that one's got an E at the end.
It does. So as everybody knows, Dean is my father-in-law. He's a huge Florida booster on the booster board. My wife is probably a bigger fan than Dean. I mean, she is crazy when it comes to the Gators. Our kids are going to learn how to cuss from their mother at Florida games, not from me on a golf course. To show you how big of a fan she is. So she and her dad and myself, we were going to this event. There's some food at the theater. Billy was speaking afterwards. And so Dean actually called Caroline and was like, hey, I can get us backstage to meet him for a little meet and greet before this event. So I was like, okay, so I'd like to meet him, but I didn't care that much about going back there. I didn't want to kind of force my way. So I went and saved us seats on the first row of the theater with an E, while Caroline and her dad went back and hung out with Coach Napier and some of the staff and people. And so they were back there for a long time. And I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, so they finally come back out, and Caroline was like, oh my gosh, he's so nice.
Oh, she fell in love back there.
She said, I told him that I was married to an Alabama fan. And she was like, my husband's been a big fan of yours since he was on staff under Saban at Alabama.
Okay.
And so, so they talked for a few minutes and made some jokes about me being an Alabama fan. And so Coach Napier then comes out to speak to everybody. It's a packed house, right? This is before his first year. Everybody's fired up about him. And, so he's like, all right, this is my first time coming to Lakeland to speak. I want to give everybody an overview of who I am. And so he had a slideshow ready. And it talked a lot about his childhood, his family. And then he had a slide for every stop in his coaching career. Hey, I started my career at, I don't know, Valdosta State or wherever and worked my way up. And so, of course, there was a slide. He got the slide with Coach Saban on it in his face, and everybody starts booing. And Coach Napier goes, yeah, don't be booing too much. He said, I hear we have an Alabama fan in the crowd. Where is he? And he does this number. He's looking out. And he's like, oh, I see him right here in the front row. And he's like, everybody, he's like, hey, stand up, man. And so I stood up, and he's like, now everybody boo this guy.
Oh my God.
I played it off pretty well. And it was
Did
fun.
you have on Alabama?
No, I was wearing just a normal shirt, but he saw Caroline, and Caroline was like right here, and so.
She was quick to expose you.
Yeah.
Like,
throw me under the bus. And so, then I was getting funny texts from buddies who were there, and we're like,
love it.
Who's that? Yada, yada, yada.
They're like, you would be sitting right in the front,
whole Alabama fan, all that stuff. But it was,
that's how all Alabama fans should be treated.
Seems like he has a really good sense of humor, and seems like a great guy. He's got to start winning, but I do like him. He's a good dude and has no issue making fun of me, which I appreciate. So.
I feel like that should happen to all Alabama fans, but whatever, man, it's all love. Okay, so maybe we'll get your live reaction if
this could be recorded and published out. I'll for better or worse, we'll see how it goes.
I know. Don't throw the new tables.
I won't. I might throw my water bottle down if I don't like the hire, but I won't.
Yeah,
I won't
yeah.
throw the table.
Who would you not like?
Billy Napier.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. No. I don't know, actually. All the top guys I really wanted Dan Lanning, the head coach at Oregon, defensive coordinator at Georgia, was at Alabama before, but he's staying put. So I think a lot of guys are just, understandably, I think you follow somebody like Saban, and that's not easy to do. And big shadow kind of thing. Not dissimilar to our company in some ways, Dean and his production and
Tyler
relationship and all that. So, but yeah, look,
that's why Tyler knows what's going on, is because he has really good compliments. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm not totally sure who they're going to hire. I mean, there's a lot of smoke, but.
Now, what if I asked you right now what your wife's birthday is? Would you know it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to say it?
No.
Okay.
you just knew a lot of facts. And I thought, if
Trying to
these
catch me off guard.
people know a lot of facts about this game, I certainly hope that they know some really other important facts. So good job.
I know a lot of random
Yeah.
important facts, but I do know my wife's birthday. And
That birthday is not included in the random facts.
No,
that's
that's
an
a
important
key
one.
one.
That's
Yes,
right. That's right. But you would know all those dates, anniversary.
yeah, for sure.
There you have it. Men can do it all, as it turns out.
Sorry. I am good with numbers.
He is a numbers guy.
I just remember
That's
things.
where I was going to go with
So
that.
true.
6,
That's-
16, 18, our anniversary. I remember those kind of. I remember it that way.
Yeah. I feel like I used to be able to remember things. Now I can't. So whatever. All right. Let's talk.
SRD, SVN.
Let's talk the SEC of land.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So
Insinuating SEC is the best conference. That's
it is.
yeah,
There's no
okay. I just wanted to put that out there.
insinuation.
Yeah.
I'll say it. It is.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about it, and I'll still say it. So.
It's like the AFC East and then like the SEC. So it's like
Do you know the other day I had to ask somebody, I'm like, well, isn't there an AFL and an NFL? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's obviously over in the West Coast, the AFL. They're like, no. But then I heard that there is.
Well, there's like an SEC, but it's not really like the
Yes.
Southeast now. It's like we're adding all these other teams that
What's it called? AFC and the
NFC. Yeah.
NFC?
Yeah. The 2 NFL divisions, just like the National League and the American League in baseball.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't ever know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about Saunders Ralston Dantzler.
Yeah, we're a full service land and commercial company based in Lakeland, Florida.
I can replay the intro
Been
one more
in
time.
business for 27 or 28 years now, and no, we have a bright future as a company.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a lot of work to refine who we are, what we do, how we do it, and really to do that to make sure that this company's in business for the next 27 or 28 years. And it's no secret when you have somebody who founded the company like Dean, who's a big presence and in any service business like this, whether it's a law firm, an accounting firm, an investment company, when you have to talk through long-term planning for how the company survives and thrives without that person one day, it's not always easy conversations, and it's hard to do. And I know a lot of our clients have had to figure this out too. Landowner families, companies with agribusinesses, development companies, property owners have to figure this out, what to do when the owners just start getting older. And that's not to diminish Dean's energy for any of this, because he's got more energy for how we do all this than anybody. But, the sooner you start trying to talk through some of that stuff and figure out a plan, the better. And to their credit, Dean, Gary, and Todd, they want this to continue in the future. And, Dean's got kids and son-in-laws that work here at the company, and so does Gary. And, so there is a kind of pride in what they've built. And, now it's the pride part is in a legacy, right? And what this looks like, over the next 20 or 30 years. And so, we've grown as a company in a lot of really good ways. And I think there's a lot more growing to do, both externally, and then there's things that we want to get better at internally. And we really want to make that a focus, and better for clients, better for our advisors, better for our staff. And so we're really working hard to bring all that to fruition this year.
Yeah. I think that, so we had the brokers in here right before Christmas to kind of talk about 2023 and kind of where they see 2024 going. And I know that there is talk of expansion, for our company, because I think that as a whole, Florida, Central Florida, we kind of have agents everywhere doing all sorts of things, land and commercial. So our bases are pretty well covered in Florida, I think. But And, we did expand into Georgia. Was it last year that the physical office opened up?
Well,
Or was
we've
it
had
20?
we bought an office this past year.
Yeah.
We leased space kind of in a co-working type space, small business office, a few different locations in Thomasville. But we did buy an office this past year to kind of further solidify our growth there.
Yeah. And then, I think like always be moving forward. And I think that that's kind of your vision, from what I understand, and the broker's vision as well, is like, always be thinking about like the next market, the next area, how we can expand our role as advisors into different markets not in Florida.
Right.
So I think that there is a lot of opportunity because I feel like there's not a lot of brokerages like this one, where it's very helpful and there's like a lot of growth, and nobody's really like super stingy with anything. And they want to see growth, obviously.
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, I think we are unique in what we do. Our goal is to provide value to advisors and to inform clients and customers, and for them to have a great experience buying and selling property or with us managing property. And so, from a growth standpoint, it's twofold. It's geographic growth, but it's also internal growth, right? We want advisors that come on board to us to have more opportunity than where they're at, or if they're new to the business, we want them to come in and have a bright future and have kind of unlimited potential here. And
oh my God, bright futures, Dean Saunders.
That's right.
Good job.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
But it's also, so again, yeah, it's internally, it's how do we help our advisors be more productive, help free them up to do what they like to do, which is sell land, sell property, work with buyers and sellers. But it's also how do we get better as a company, right? How do we grow in different markets and different regions? And as you mentioned, some of that is outside the state of Florida. Some of it's inside, right? There's certain pockets of the state now. We were talking about it this morning, actually, looking at a map and saying, where do we not have enough coverage, right? Where do we have too much coverage and where do we not have enough, both on land and commercial? The commercial part of what we do is, commercial business is a lot more focused on your geography. You've got to be a master of your market, know a lot of what's going on, because there's so much clustered within where you're at. The land stuff is a lot more spread out. So when it comes to knowledge, it's a lot more about territories and kind of like Northeast Florida, Northwest Florida, Central Florida, Southwest, Southeast. So it's a lot different. You can cover a lot bigger ground because there's just not as many properties as there is in commercial, where you have to be central. So on the commercial front, it's how do we figure out how are we better along the I-4 corridor? How are we better in Lakeland, Orlando with our office there? How do we refine our process for finding new advisors? How do we refine our process for listing properties more effectively, sourcing leads, things like that? But then on the land side, it's okay, we're in South Georgia now. We've got an advisor coming on board in Atlanta here soon. So we're starting to move further north into Georgia, which is exciting. Again, it's kind of where I grew up, so I've got a lot of passion for that. But outside of Georgia, it's, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And how do we do it? And it's easy to say we want to grow. It's easy to say, let's put our foot on the gas, but it's another thing to really articulate how we do it and who do we do it with and what are the steps that we need to make expansion and growth as easy and seamless as it can be. And how do we incorporate those people into our culture, into our company in a way that they feel connected, that they feel involved, that there's the same culture we've built here in Florida and these places we go to. It's not easy to do, right? We take it for granted when we're in the office a lot of days with people and we see people. It's a lot easier to have a good culture than it is when you have a couple different offices and different people running those offices. And so we've had to be a lot more and need to be, continue to get better at this, but more intentional about going to visit those people, to talking to them on the phone, and doing more events collectively as a company where, people in Georgia get to know our people in Florida and people in our Orlando office get to know our Lakeland people. And because there's so much knowledge and clients that overlap between these places, that the more our advisors know advisors with our company elsewhere, the better we're going to be as a whole. So we're trying to refine that process a little bit. We've been in Georgia now a number of years, and are to the point where we're starting to roll out our land conference and market report for the first time. And so those are big steps for us in continuing to improve there. But also, now we've been there a number of years. We know it works. We can kind of critique our process, figure out what we need to do differently as we look to go elsewhere. But I think it's an exciting time at the company because it's a pivotal time as we look to do some pretty cool things in terms of where we go, how we do it, who we do it with, and how we get better internally as a company.
Yeah, I think that our office here in Lakeland has always been, kind of like this central hub. And I mean, I don't want to say that they got lucky, because I think that, you're selective with the people that you bring on board, but you've had so many like really great people working here who are so passionate about land or commercial, whatever it is that they're doing. And I know that it's not everywhere. I complain all the time about other brokerages because I'm not impressed at all. They're probably not impressed with me.
Don't name any names, Linda.
Well, first of all, I'd like to, no, I'm kidding. I'm actually working with a broker now who, I can't even say that I'm working with them. They don't know anything, and that's very frustrating. But enough about me. I feel like it would be very difficult to replicate what we have here, but that somehow you guys have done it in Georgia. And I don't know if it's because of like, the brokers being good guys. So people are like, good people are drawn to them.
Yep.
And
we've always grown as a company organically with good people, and, good people surround themselves with good people. My favorite Nick Saban quote is, mediocre people hate high achievers, and high achievers hate mediocre people. So if you bring in high achievers, they're going to know other high achievers.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to work with high achievers.
Yeah.
And good people want to be surrounded by good people. So to Bryant, Peace's credit, now Austin and Georgia, the people they've recruited, they've been so selective in the best way, because they want to make sure at the end of the day, the people we've brought in are cultural fits, that they get along well, that they're high moral character. And I think for us as a company, some of the things we're talking about doing, it's even more important than their technical knowledge, right? We can teach people the real estate side of it. We've got so much knowledge here. We can teach people the real estate side of it. You can't teach somebody how to be a nice guy or a good person and be a good character, right? So like those are the most important things. People who care about their families and want to see other people succeed and want to do a good job serving clients in an ethical and moral way. And so if we can find those people, we can teach them the real estate side of it.
How are you going to do it then?
Correct. That's a great segue, and I'm glad you mentioned it. One of the things that, so we sent out a survey to all our advisors at the end of the year, and we spent a lot of time working on those questions.
I didn't win.
You know what? I've not even announced a winner yet. So that's a great reminder.
Oh my God, we're going to announce it right now. It's me.
We're doing it live. No, actually, I'm so glad you reminded me that. Oh my gosh, I did not even announce a winner. So yes, we incentivized our advisors to fill that out by offering up a nice gift card.
I just really thought I didn't win, and I was like,
no, I haven't
and
even
I'll
sent that
never.
out. Linda, you won. No, I'm just kidding. I've got to actually draw this out because I forgot. So thank you for the reminder. I'll do that here in a little bit.
I mean, I've always been in a secretarial role.
I'm slacking on my duties here.
I was like, I once again didn't win. No, I did win a cigar humidor one time. I just want to say that.
There you go. One of the feedback items that we heard a lot was, let's have better training. And it's not, I think we have good processes and training for how to use our systems, how to use our mapping system, which is excellent, how to use our build out, how to use some of those kind of programs. Is what people are referring to is not that. It's let's have technical training, right, on real estate. And so that really kind of got me thinking about, when we bring on somebody new to this industry or somebody who doesn't have knowledge in a certain area, how do they get it? I mean, there's CCIM that you can go take. That's timely and costly. There's the land U ALC classes you can take, but those are, again, timely, costly. They're national. They're not necessarily specific to our market and markets. And so it really got me thinking about how do we create a knowledge program here for new advisors, for existing agents? And how do we utilize a lot of the knowledge that we have with our advisors and with our strategic partners and people we know in the community? And so I've been working on a plan. I think we're going to call it Saunders U, which kind of sounds cheesy, but we might come up with a better name. So if any listeners have a suggestion, let me know. But we want this to be an onboarding platform and a knowledge bank for information. So for example, I've written out probably 30 or 40 courses that I want us to have, and we want to record them. We want to have knowledge checks, tests at the end, have this in an interactive way for our advisors to access. And so I want to have, Lauren Smith talk about leasing 101 or property management 101. I want to have Dean talk about conservation 101. I want to have Tony Wallace or Mike Maitrey talk about timber 101, timber 102, retail. I'm going to have Andrew Diaz come and talk about eminent domain. I want to get Michael Minton to come and talk about estate and tax law. Like create these and I'll teach some, and everybody in our company, I'm going to try to assign them different things to teach. And so we'll, do a Zoom type thing,
in our expert. Oh my God. It's in our expert opinion. It's in their expert opinion. Yeah.
So everybody has their strength. And, I wanted this to be a platform where when somebody, and get Gary to teach his, abbreviated versions of all his CCIM courses. We'll record those. He loves that. He's great at teaching. So
emphasis on abbreviated.
I'm just saying don't do the week-long course.
You can go
do 2 or 3 hours for each one, but have those in an easy to digest format where when we bring on a new advisor, there's 10 or 15 required courses that they have to take. Look, if you're going to be an advisor here, you've got to know what you're talking about. And we don't know that you know. I mean, to your point, a lot of brokers don't know what the heck they're talking about. And so,
but you don't want to discount those people either, because they can be really, really great brokers, but they need guidance and they need leadership. And not that we don't have that here, but I think that, so when I came on, there were younger people, but for the majority of it, you had these seasoned advisors who were wonderful, by the way. Everybody is very helpful.
Correct.
I can go to anybody in this office and they will help me. But it's so difficult coming in as you just graduated college, you just graduated high school. And I think anybody that has done any sort of education, yes, you do learn.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You learn in the real world as well.
There's a shortage of just knowledge about basic commercial real estate and land stuff. Seriously, this is a true story. So I'm a pretty smart guy. I think I'm not the smartest person, but I'm competent.
I've often said that I think you're in the top 3 smartest people for me. I have said this before. Bridget would also agree.
But I'm typically a quick learner on stuff. I like learning. It's when I left public accounting to come here, I had to go buy Commercial Real Estate and Land for Dummies, the books. Okay. Because I could not the Pittsburgh Steeler looking black and gold books that you see in the stores, because I could not find any resources online anywhere. And so here I am reading these, trying to understand. Before I joined, I was trying to at least have what's the difference between a triple net lease and a gross lease. When I started, I had no idea. There's a lack of resources even for people who have college degrees and advanced degrees and whatever your life background has been. There's just not a lot out there to train people on how to do what we do. Yeah. So I want to make that easier. And so we're committed to building out this program, building out this platform to help not just new advisors get up to speed in the business, but also for existing people as they want to learn more, right? I don't know a ton. I know a little bit about timber, but I'm not an expert. I've not sat through a course on different types of wood and how it's cut and the reasons for doing it and how the whole process works.
I've had 4 or 5 people on here. I couldn't tell you.
Right. But we have the experts as part of our company. Yes. So let's have them put these things together and educate our people. And so that way, if, better examples probably, if I get, a lead on a retail strip center and I don't know what the heck it is, I can watch this. I can learn how to calculate an NOI. I know what a rent roll is, how it's structured, differences in these types of leases. That's all really important. And I feel like we can capitalize on the people and information we have here to help our advisors. And I think it's also a sales pitch for people to come join us is, look, we've got these, 70 or 80 expert courses that are, available to access by our people. And so, I think it can be a differentiator as we look to recruit new talent and bring people into our company. And the faster they learn and the faster they get confident, the faster they start making money in this business. So we want to do what we can to speed that process up.
So Tyler, in summation, what you're saying is towards the end of Step Brothers, they say enterprise gives you the tools to be your own boss. What we're doing is Saunders gives you the tools to be your own boss.
The knowledge and the tools.
Knowledge and the tools.
Yeah. So one day when you make a bunch of money, you can go to the Catalina wine mixer.
That's right. Yeah.
Freaking Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of things like that we can do better. And that was part of the reason we sent that survey out, was to get real feedback from our advisors on what they want to see us do differently, how we can do it better. And so that was one of the things that was pretty obvious.
Now, and these were anonymous, surveys, not that anybody cares, but do you think that you could have gone down and you could have said, Linda wrote this survey?
I was talking to Bryant Peace on Sunday when we were in Georgia, and he was like, yeah, I was talking to him about some of this stuff. And he was like, yeah, I filled out the survey. And I was like, yeah, Bryant. He was like, I was one of the first people to do it. And I was like, well, I don't know who wrote what, but I was reading one and I was like, this kind of sounds like something Bryant would say. Or he said something similar to this movie.
I would immediately be like, and this one was done by so-and-so.
No, it was on.
Yeah.
And we want to do the same thing every year and ask a lot of the same questions, and then we can benchmark.
Yeah.
And part of what we want to communicate moving forward is, as a company, is hey, here are the things that our advisors identified as things we need to address and things we want to get better at. Here's our plan to do it.
Yeah.
Right. It's one thing to get feedback. It's another thing to act on it. We want to act on it and make it better.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that would be a huge pro for somebody coming in on their list of like pros and cons. Because, I've heard people ask, do you guys provide leads? And it's like, well, no, you need a database and you kind of need to do like your own thing or whatever. But it's literally the basic things of like, how do you database? How do you do these things? Like you have to give people step by step and then it becomes second nature.
And then what are you databasing, right? So like, one of the courses I wanted to be in there is like entity structuring and how funds are set up. And so if you look at a property owner in your database in a property and it's owned by some REIT, you're going to see this single purpose LLC or some specific LLC. Well, you might put that in as the owner when you're doing your databasing, but really that's not it.
Yeah.
Right. It's owned by a national firm.
Yeah.
And so you don't just need to find one person. You got to, go to their website, find the person covering that region, right? If it's DR Horton that you're trying to contact, you don't just contact David All, the former CEO, because you see his name on the LLC. You got to reach out to him and find the land acquisitions guy for Florida, right? Find the person specific to who it is that you're trying, or the property you're trying to pursue. So, those are the kind of things that, we want to educate our people on a little bit more. And again, it's not just new people, but we can all continue to learn and learn in different ways. Sure.
Yeah. And because, as advisors here, at least, I don't just focus on one thing. I don't focus on retail, office. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I have done so many different types. I've even done land. And it's like, what would I know about that? But I did it, and I had thankfully somebody there to help me, or to answer questions. But it would be nice to.
Like I want to have attorneys come on and talk about title and exceptions and the difference between a B2 exception and others, and have even stuff as simple as like when I first got a listing, what's the process, right? Like who's responsible for what? Once we put a property under contract, what are the people? Somebody asked me, what kind of due diligence should I do? Well, I'm new to the business. I don't totally know. Let me go ask. But if we had me and David Hungerford teaching about the acquisition process, and this is how, these are what these 4 or 5 different due diligence type materials provide. Here's examples of them. Here's how we review them.
Yeah.
We get, ACT on to talk about environmental issues and how it ties into a phase 1, and get surveyors on to talk about the different types of surveys. Like those are the kind of things that I think could really, really help our advisors, especially the new ones to the business.
I agree. So you do all of this sort of education for advisors, and then you find a place that you think we should have a presence in this market. How do you do that?
Yeah. So I think first off, it gets back to the people part of it. If we have the right person to go into a market with to be the regional manager or office leader in that territory, then it's easy to justify doing it. I think, again, I think some of the things we're working on, mapping improvements, databasing of company working on CRM data for certain markets, company having in-house assistants or virtual assistants verifying sales in these markets that we're looking to go into. If we can lay the foundation for everything we do from a mapping standpoint, from a data standpoint, from a research standpoint, I think it's a lot easier to go into a market and be successful if you have the right person.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right person, that's a whole different story. So the first point is we want to go to places where we trust that we have somebody ready to go, or we have a relationship there with somebody who we can bring on board to spearhead those efforts locally. And then we perfect everything on the back end. So the faster we get our databasing done, the faster we get our mapping system up to speed in those markets, we start cataloging sales, databasing sales for 4 or 5 years, even predating when we go in there. The faster we can get out our market reports, the faster we can start sharing our information and show that we're the experts in that market because we have
all the knowledge
and all the verified sale data that other people don't have. So all these things that are differentiators for us, we want to perfect that process and start it a lot earlier than, hey, we're going into this market. Well, crap, we better speed up. We better start do X, X, and X now. No, we need to do those things first.
Yeah.
And then we have it ready to go for when we find the right person to go into a market.
Yeah. Do you think you'll do international? Because I've got some suggestions.
That's a great question. Yeah. Where would you like to go, Linda?
Scotland.
You want to go plant a flag for us in Scotland?
Mm-hmm. I'm out of here.
Marketing director over there?
Technically, we already
not
are.
Marketing director,
the
but
regional manager. Yeah.
Don't we have some listings in Costa Rica, Nicaragua?
Maybe. Yeah, we do.
I think we used to, at least. I know that I saw them years ago, but I don't know.
All right, Miss Outlander, go over to Scotland.
I'm ready to go. It's not even because of Outlander. It's just like I think that they live well over there.
Let's do it. There's a lot of land.
Oh, I know.
I feel like Scotland's a much better comp for like the southeast United States than like England.
Oh, you can't. Well, because
England's
the government owns
Scotland's
everything.
Like the
right.
South, it seems like.
100%. You can still kill things over there,
Yeah.
Not that I do. I don't, but you could.
I don't know who you're trying to.
I don't know who you know who's watching these podcasts or listening to these, but
I know. I think about that often. They
probably took offense to what you just said. Actually.
I think about it often. I'm like, what if one day I run for judge and people are like, look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. I don't know. Anyways, I'm trusting you with this information about Scotland, so I'm ready to go. Okay. And so how are you meeting these people, that you think would be good? And I don't know that you've met a ton of people, but it's like, is it by word of mouth or
one person that is, fits a lot of the parameters of what we want to do. It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of friends, relationships, things like that, people, and that's one thing we want to stress to our advisors and our people too. And our clients is, who else should we be talking to about what we're doing? Who else should we be recruiting?
Yeah.
Who do you know in X market? Who do you know in X state? And, not just clients, but also like, who do you want to work with? Like, it's fun when I work with my friends, right? And so I'm running joke now with Caroline is like, I'm just recruiting all my buddies to come work here. But if they're good people.
Better golf days for you, at least.
That's right. So, no, it's a lot of word of mouth. And again, as the hardest person to recruit in a market is always the first one.
Yeah.
Right. It's like it's easy for us to recruit in Florida at this point. Not easy, but it's a lot easier than it was in 1990.
I think it speaks for itself. Right.
Right. Like, so you built a platform, you build a brand, you build a process that people and success, hopefully, that people see and they want to be a part of. And so it gets easier. But the first person you've got to get on board is the right person to lead that team.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think, we've been really lucky in Central Florida because we're right in the center. It doesn't take us too long to get anywhere. Maybe it'll take us long to get to the Keys, but, we can kind of get to these major cities and hubs here. And so I think, I don't know that that's what Dean intended.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. But is that like an intention in your mind now of when you look at places?
Yes and no. I mean, we've been very fortunate in Central Florida.
Yeah.
That's played a huge part in our company's growth and success. Is the growth and success of the market, region, and population and demand. So it's not going to be that case everywhere we go, right? But I think the more strategic we are about where we place teams and where we place offices, the more important, it's a very important thing for us to do. And so, I would rather plant offices in locations where you can service multiple states or multiple territories, like our office in Thomasville, for example. You're an hour from Alabama, not far from Dothan, lower Alabama, so you can cover, some of that ground there, but you're also basically just north of the Panhandle, just north of Tallahassee, so you're kind of in the Panhandle too. So you can cover part of Florida, a large part of Georgia, and then part of Alabama. So when we look at some of these other states, I think I wouldn't say we're just going to go to like these corners of these states for no reason, but when there's strong employers in these markets and there's universities in some of these corners and capital, right, that comes in and out of there however it does, that's important. Thomasville makes sense for us because it's, in some like the the hunting capital of Georgia, right? In some ways the Southeast from a bird hunting perspective, but there's so much capital that comes in and out of there because everybody wants to live around there, have vacations around there. So as we look into these other locations and not just other locations, but like other parts of Georgia and other states, it's like, if we can cover 2 or 3 states and there's a big reason to put an office somewhere, like that would be perfect. Yeah. Right. And so it's got to be somewhere that people want to live and people want to visit, and that there's, again, strong employment there, big companies and capital that moves in and out. So we can work with the people that reside in that area to help them find land to buy and, help them to sell land as well. Yeah.
Stars got to align,
Correct. A little bit. Yeah. There's certain check boxes that we have, have to have, right?
So, as of right now, I know you as the financial guy, and I feel like you're really like spreading your wings and you're like going to become this, like, I feel like they're going to have to get you a helicopter is where I think I'm trying to go with this.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Especially just to like get to Orlando so I don't have to drive on I-4.
Don't. I drove it yesterday.
When Lakeland just announced they're getting airfare and everybody's wondering, commercial airfare, where it's going to go. I think they just need to fly to Orlando International Airport. People would jump on that thing every day just to beat I-4.
I know.
But so as part of all these discussions, we're talking about roles and responsibilities. And as a company grows, right, some of the growing pains are when you're a small company, everybody's got to do a little bit of everything. Yeah. And then as you grow and as you add people and team members and all that, roles get a little bit more defined because there's more to do within each one of those roles, right? And so I wouldn't say we're totally there yet. We're still a small company that's in Florida and Georgia, but we're trying to think through a little bit who's, when we talk about our people and our leadership, where do people's strengths lie and what are they good at, and how we can kind of better match their tasks with some of that. And so, when we talk about growth, it's, who's going to grab the bull by the horns a little bit and be the champion for that. And I'm not saying it's me per se, but I do have an interest in helping us grow and helping us add good people and refine what we're doing. And, so I'm somewhat of a recovering accountant. I'm still doing all the normal stuff like normal, but, with some of this excess time, think through, some of these more strategic discussions like we're having here.
I don't know how you have excess time. I really don't. I feel like you're like all over the place.
Bridget. That's
yes, that's true.
Holds the whole office together.
That's really nice. That's really nice. With the compliments, my God.
Mostly emotionally.
Poor Bridget. I know. She handles it well, though. She takes it in stride.
She's perfect for her role.
I know. She really.
She's one of our longest tenured employee, or one of them at this point.
Yeah,
has done almost everything at the company.
I know.
At some point, and knows where all the bodies are buried and skeletons are hidden, and she's great at what she does. And now she does a lot of the bookkeeping, day-to-day financial stuff.
Yeah.
Which is great.
You know what? She would never tell anybody where those bodies are buried. She really is a good secret keeper. Yep. She is very loyal. Well, anything else that you think we should mention?
So it's again, we don't want to grow just to grow. We want to do it with the right people. And if we feel like our culture is being compromised or the quality of advisor that we're bringing on is being not
like watered down. Yeah.
So we're implementing some things to where we're going to be a little bit more, not strategic, but there's going to be more of a formal process for who we're bringing on and how we recruit them, and putting together some procedures around that and a little bit of a training plan there. So again, I think as we grow too, it opens the door to bigger relationships from a business standpoint where, you look at some of the large national commercial real estate firms, they've got, the business they do is mostly because of corporate relationships and institutional relationships. And there's less of that in the land business, but there's a lot within ag and, regional landowners, people who own land, buying and selling in multiple states, whether it's timber or ag or development, even companies who build in multiple places where, if we're in a few different places, it gives us the ability to go to those companies and say, let us be your partners in these areas, and you don't necessarily need to talk to anybody else because we can serve you at a high level because we've brought on really good people. We've got the best data, the best mapping system, and
best staff,
correct.
Best marketing.
Team.
Yep.
Tyler,
The worst producer of a podcast.
Tyler, you might want to check your notifications.
Oh gosh,
Did it happen?
It's live.
I've not seen anything come through.
You want me to read it to you?
I'm afraid it's going to be a fake one there, Chad.
It's from ESPN, breaking news. You want me to read it?
Why am I nervous? I don't have a
don't
dog
see
in this
anything.
fight.
I've set up all these post
Washington
alerts.
Washington coach Kalen DeBoer is negotiating a contract to replace Alabama's Nick Saban.
He's negotiating it, so he hasn't been named.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this could all fall through at any moment.
Chad, I have anxiety.
That's all right. That's what I'm
No,
here
it
for.
isn't.
That's what I'm here
This
for.
is a tough. I think he's a really good coach, but he's never been in the South before. He's never coached in the South. It's a little bit of a different animal. So again, it's all about it's the people, right? If you have the right person steering the ship and you got great people at all the different positions, you can make up for some of those things. So this guy built out a great staff and recruiting team and coaches who've been in the SEC.
Are you drawing parallelism between what we're doing here
Yes,
versus?
So again, we want to do it at a high
like this.
level and have the best. We want to watch the best tape. We want to have the best X's and O's and strategy and internal stuff, but we also want to do it with the right people, right? And so we've got to have the right people to serve clients at a high level. And if we can't do that, we're just going to stay where we're at and focus on what we're doing. But we do want to grow, but we want to do it the right way.
Yeah. No, it's true. I tell all my clients that. Like, don't open up 5 restaurants in a year. Chill out. Do the one.
Right.
Make sure it's good for 2 years.
Correct.
Move on.
Go from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Chad, thanks a lot. You're really, I was like, am I going to cry?
It's weird. I set up all these Twitter notifications and I've not gotten any from any of
You don't have any Google alerts or anything?
Oh, somebody just said the ESPN app breaking the news. Yeah, but I've not seen it from anybody else. Yeah, negotiating head job. Okay, I see it now. Via ESPN app. Yeah, crazy. So, all right. Well, we're all tied. We might have found our next guy here.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll be following along closely as we will with
That's right.
Saunders
If this
Ralston
goes
Dantzler.
great or poorly, come back and call me out for some bad takes related to that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for dealing with us as we work through this new setup.
Yeah.
Not always easy.
Happy New Year.
By the time this airs,
I will
be
never say that.
middle
of
late.
February.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Rate, review, subscribe, all that business. Tyler, good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
Cheers.